Can you retain your mind to change your life? Well, today, Tisha Cain shows us how human behavior, hypnotherapy, and smart boundaries fuel real transformation. So stay tuned for 5 actions that you can use this week that are going to help you change your life. Now, welcome back to The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi, where insight becomes action. You'll learn a simple framework to change your behavior and what hypnotherapy really is and how to navigate ethics and laws so you can help safely and confidently. And now I'm going to introduce you to Tisha. So, Tisha, welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you on. You have an amazing story and an amazing past, and you have overcome so much. And I usually say, I use the term, we overcame our crisis, we rose above. We got over the obstacles and we really made our dreams become a reality, just like the word Disney, how they say, make your dreams a reality. If you can overcome crisis and you can get through it all, you really, if you keep persistent and you stay resilient, you can make any dream become your reality. And I'm so glad that you came on the show because that's what you're all about. So can you take a moment to tell everybody a little about yourself and, a little about what you do?
Absolutely. Thank you, Stacey, for allowing me to be here. I'm so excited. Yeah, there isn't anything I don't do well. I have more letters at the end of my name than you want to count. I'm a 5 times best-selling international author. One of the books I'm really proud about is The Wisdom of the Trees. I'm an executive counsel for C-suite executives. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner, and I teach people about reality creation and the power of the mind, how to really construct your reality and get everything out of this life that you have come into you. And so I'm emotionally tied into constructing moment by moment, minute by minute, the path forward for transformation. So I just guide people through this roadmap back to success, back to themselves, because
Yeah.
I'm a preacher and I'm a teacher, and I believe that the remedy is within. So I teach people to come back home. I just
Mhm.
simply walk them back home to get the remedy, to get the healing, to create a path forward towards their goals, and they can have everything they want. And so it's just believing that they can.
I love that. Now, in plain English, what drives the human behavior day to day?
Yeah, in plain English, I think, we're emotional beings, and
Yeah.
just being in the present moment, it's really important because you can see how you're feeling and what you're doing and allowing it to come up. We've been taught that negative emotions should not be, presented, or we should stuff those down. And my reality is, in a bag full of emotions, if I can reach in and grab one, I love anger because anger makes me move, right? I will
Mhm.
have all the baseboards cleaned in the house and the dishes done and everything when I'm angry. And so, what drives that human behavior is just realizing that emotions are all exquisite,
Yeah.
allowing them all to come up, and being in the flow and accepting it. Sometimes there's days I just want to cry. And those moments that I cry, I realize I allowed myself to cry, and it's only been 2 minutes, and I
Right.
cleansed myself and I was able to move forward. So this dense emotion on planet Earth
Yeah.
drives our human behavior, and we can allow it, or we can, put some strict boundaries on ourselves that keep us suppressed. And I'm here for expansion. I don't know about you, Stacey, but I'm wanting to expand and grow and help heal souls one at a time.
100%. I love that. Now, what's a belief you see most often that quietly blocks progress?
Hmm. A belief that I see most often. Ooh, what's been coming up in my office recently is I'm not good enough. And so
Yeah.
somewhere down the line, these people have anchored in for whatever reason they didn't feel good enough for. And I see this with C-suite executives. I'm currently working with a top CEO, and they have been gifted the family company. And
Mhm.
so they're up at the highest ladder as the president of the company. And they're like, oh, I don't think I'm good enough to be in this position. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you are divinely created, like your family ancestral bloodlines run through you, that you
Yeah.
are worthy and you are enough. And because they're heart centered and they're popping open in this time space continuum with their heart and with their mind, they're being able to do things at a bigger scale more than their grandfather and their grandfather's grandfather. And so I'm seeing that, I don't feel good enough. And for whatever reason, that's a limiting belief that I'm cracking the code on to shake people out of these thought loop systems,
Yeah.
so they can propel themselves forward on what they want to now create and believe.
I love that. Now, give us your first week playbook for someone who has gotten stuck in the loops like stress, cravings, procrastination.
Yeah, I have many playbooks and many protocols. I wrote the book Successful Women Show Up Differently, and it's 6 transformational habits to help you win from the inside out. And
Yeah,
so if I can give our listeners here today a cheat code, is one of those things is you got to get everything in order. So I do an epic morning routine.
I
I
love
do
that.
more before the sun comes up than most people do all day. And I set my clock for 5 a.m. and I get up and it's my time. Everyone knows it's mommy's time. Don't bother me. I'm doing, 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of red light therapy, 10 minutes of sauna, 10 minutes of journaling, 10 minutes of doodling. And I go through all of these processes to develop an epic morning routine. So by the time 7 a.m. hits and my child gets up for school, my cup is so full
Yeah,
that 7 a.m. starts, and then I start giving from my overflow. So I'm
yeah.
never depleted, never depleted.
Oh my God, that's such great advice. Now, a transformation story, give me no names, like that shows a tiny shift created by a big outcome.
Tiny shift. Oh, I have so many. Let's see. A tiny shift creating. Yeah. So I had a client where she didn't think that she was good enough. And so we went back to the root cause using hypnotherapy of when she anchored in not good enough. And the moment, and she didn't get there consciously. We had to get
Yeah.
to the subconscious programming. And
Right.
she went back to a time when she was 3 years old during Easter, hunting Easter eggs, and her cousins were getting all the Easter eggs, and she couldn't pick them up fast enough. And so at that moment in time, she anchored in she wasn't good enough because she couldn't get the Easter eggs soon enough, quick enough, and get enough of them. So she anchored in not good enough. And so we rewired her subconscious brain to realize what she saw through everybody's eyes, that she was the littlest little girl there, of course,
Mhm.
but she had anchored in that belief she wasn't good enough. And that was furthest from what was true and what was the true reality. And
Yeah.
so we cleaned up that projection. And from then, oh man, she went up and she went back to her home. She drove to me from out of state. So I'm here in California. She came down from Washington um,
Yeah.
to California to be in my office. Now I could do hypnotherapy via Zoom or, in my office. So it's so great. But she says, nope, I wanted to be in the office with you. And I'm driving to Washington. And I said, great, let's go. And she
Yeah.
went back up and she took a picture of the tips that she had made that next day, and it was over $2,700 in tips. And she said,
Wow.
I have never made that many tips in my life. And she says, I'm standing, it feels like 10 inches taller because I was able to rewire that limiting belief. Like I've been holding on to that for 33 years. And she goes,
Wow.
I'm released from it now. And now I could see that I'm worthy and I'm good enough. And I've always been good enough.
Oh my God, that is so
So good.
powerful.
Mm.
That is so powerful. Now, how do you measure progress when outcomes are slow? Like what w weekly signals matter?
How do I measure progress? Well, I think it's just, you're not seeing the progress, but what's important to know here is consistency, right?
Hmm.
You're not going to see it
Yes.
immediately as long as you're consistently showing up, right? So they're like, if you're
Yeah.
wanting to release, we don't lose weight because if we lose weight, we could find it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
if you're wanting to release 20 pounds, it's important that you show up every day and you do your epic morning routine, you do your workout program, and you
Yeah.
consistently stay with it and be more devoted to yourself than ever before. And then what you're going to find is, you know, 60 days down the line, you're like, what? I've released 7 pounds. Like, wow. And you can't see it, daily. But if you stick with it and you're more devoted to self than ever, on the
Yeah.
onset of that, you're going to go, wow, that really worked.
100%. So, a lot of people, hear the word hypnotherapy, but, a lot of people might not actually know what it is. So, can you talk a little bit about what hypnotherapy is and how it actually works?
Absolutely. I'm glad you're talking about this because I have clients who have a limiting belief that hypnotherapy is mind control or it's woo woo or it's against their religious beliefs. It's all nonsense. What
Yeah.
hypnotherapy is just a relaxed state. You're in control the whole time. And so
Yeah.
we just bring you back, count you down, and just get you really in a relaxed state to go back and remember, bring the subconscious forward and remember who the F you are. And I
Yeah.
really believe that hypnotherapy is the cheat code. And Stacey, I did not even believe in hypnotherapy until I realized that sadness was my flavor. I was holding on to sadness for dear life, and it was my familiar friend. And
Yeah.
someone said, "Hey, have you ever tried hypnotherapy?" And I said, "I don't even know what that is." I just thought, "What, you're
Yeah.
going to put me to sleep?" No, you don't go to sleep. It's just a relaxed state. And I went back where I had anchored in that sadness and was able to clear up that projection. And my husband said that he got an upgraded wife.
I love
So
that.
great.
People don't realize it, but 90% of our memories are stored in our subconscious. And a lot of times we don't know what's in our subconscious. We just remember 10%. And sometimes people wonder you could say something to somebody, you could trigger them like this. And you didn't even say anything bad. And it's because it's in the subconscious. And people, something like hypnotherapy is a great way of really going deep into your thoughts, your subconscious thoughts, and really bringing that baggage to surface and then letting go of it. And when it comes to working with clients, how many times, like how long does it take for them to start seeing a little bit of progress when they start feeling like a lot of that negative baggage, that negative energy in them are starting to like release and let go, and they're starting to feel like a different person. Like you said, your husband said, I got an upgraded woman.
He did. Yeah, how long? I've seen results immediately. That's why I love hypnotherapy. Sometimes if you're more intellectual, it's going to take you maybe, 10 or 15 more minutes to just go deep into trance like state to really
Yeah.
relax and allow. If
Mhm.
you're more creative, I see my clients go in pretty quickly.
Yeah.
To bring that forward. And then after they're able to do a perceptual position through looking at the event in that subconscious embedding, um, immediately after, they're like, whew, like, wow, huh. They get so much awareness from what they saw. And I have my own personal story. I went back when I was sad, when I was 3, I anchored that in. And then the hypnotherapist took me back to a time right before I had anchored in that sadness. And Stacey, what I saw, and this was back in 1979, 1980s, it was a little red and white record player. And on
Yeah.
the record player was an old 45, and it was playing Eye of the Tiger. So right before I anchored in sadness, I was with my record player playing Eye of the Tiger. I didn't realize consciously what that meant until
Yeah.
after the hypnotherapy appointment. I was like, oh my gosh, every time I'm at the gym, Eye of the Tiger is my hype song. And it's my hype song because that was the song I was playing right before life to me.
Yeah.
So I got all of this awareness around why I do what I do through going back into the subconscious mind and looking around. That's why I'm like, oh wow. And it was just mind blown. And I was able to go,
Yeah.
okay, I get it now. And just that awareness though is the healing. Is it really
Yes.
is the healing.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. Now, the top myth versus the truth about hypnosis, like control, memories, safety. A lot of people worry about going into hypnosis for those reasons.
Yeah, so the top myth is like, oh, she's going to control my mind. She's going to make me quack like a duck, right? Because movies, see everybody on stage quacking like a duck, all this stuff.
Yeah.
What I find though, back with the movies, they would do the watch and they would swing the watch, back and forth. So
Yes.
crazy. And we're able to get to a trance-like state faster and not as deep. Like back in
Yes.
the 60s, you would go so deep. Now we're going deep, but it's still kind of still surface, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So they're
Mhm.
going deep in the subconscious mind, but they're still present. Like I wait, some people get off my chaise lounge and I say, "Did you feel hypnotized?" They're like, "No," but
Yeah.
I could not have got to that remembrance consciously. I'm like, okay,
Right.
cool. So sometimes they feel hypnotized, sometimes they don't. So I just say, let's play the game. Play the
Yeah.
game. It's all a made up reality. Just play
Yeah.
the game, right? And so I just make it really light and have them go back and we're just going to see what's there and
Yeah.
bring it up for resolution because that's what the subconscious mind it brings repressed memories up for resolution. And then it
Yeah.
keeps repressed memories repressed for your protection as well. So I do a forensic hypnotherapy too. So,
Right.
women who've had, abuse. So we can go back and do a forensic hypnotherapy session and see what's there to bring it up for resolution. And I've
Yeah.
done a few of those. And sometimes the subconscious mind says, nope, you don't get to know. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that anything didn't happen. It just means
Right.
that the subconscious mind says, this isn't for you to know. You just keep on keeping on. So it's
Right.
really great that we can get the answers so quickly. I mean, there's many ways to get there. This is just one of
Yes.
my favorite modalities. People, plant medicines are on the rise right now too. You can get there, plant medicines, you can get there through yoga, meditation, prayer. I just like hypnotherapy because
Yeah.
it's holistic. It's holistic.
It is, and I love it myself. Now, when is hypnotherapy a good fit, like for stress and behavioral change and confidence and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, hypnotherapy is always a good fit, but it's mainly a good fit for the client who's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with my life. I'm done with all this stuff. I need something to break me out of this matrix, to break me loose and like just really set me forward. And I am ready to make changes now. So this is
Yeah.
the cheat code. Like you can spend 3 years suffering or you could just get it done today and say,
Yeah.
okay, I get the awareness. I'm moving forward. So it's always a good fit. But the best client is the one who says, you know what? I know I've tried it all. And this is the only thing I haven't tried. So I just know that this is going to work. And then it does.
I love that. Now, your session structure, intake, goal, induction, suggestions, integration, and homework. Can you explain that and how it works?
Yeah. So I first do a discovery call to make sure that my clients and I are a good match.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, then I do an intake. Okay, what do you want to work on? What's like the major emotion? There's six major
Yeah.
emotions: anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, not good enough. What major emotion do you want to work on? Um,
Yeah.
and then really just dial that in. Sometimes they know and sometimes they don't know.
Right.
Also a master intuitive, so I could do a chakra check. I could check their chakras for
Yeah.
where they're out of alignment,
Right.
and feel it in them. So it's so nice because energy gets transmuted through these devices as well. So I could do this through
Yes.
Zoom because I'm a very claircognizant, clairsentient individual. So we check in. If they don't know, I help them. If they do know, then we become laser focused. We do a timeline
Mhm.
therapy and hypnotherapy. And then we go back to the root cause of fear, and then
Right.
we neutralize fear at its root cause. Then I bring them in through today and clearing up all those projections and things that held them in the past. And then we talk through the scenes that they were able to see. And then um, a week later, I give them an integration call. So I typically, one session, then you get two integration calls after. And I just say, hey, what are you noticing since our
Hmm.
session? Tell me what's happening. And there's the common denominator is, holy crap, I didn't realize I was so stuck, and I didn't realize that this could get me to the next level, and I didn't realize it was going to be this easy. That's the common denominator. Um,
Right.
and then a week after that, I give them another integration call, because integrating this into your body is important. I mean, we can stay up here, intellectualize everything, but just bringing it into your body, bringing it in, is where the integration happens. And then if they see any other presenting emotions come up,
Hmm.
they're like, okay, now I work through fear, and it looks like sadness is coming in. I'm like, all right, let's come back in and work on sadness. Typically, though, I mean, there's six major emotions. I don't typically have to have you for six sessions. Um,
Yeah.
what I found is if we work on one major emotion, it's normally intertwined with something else. So it'll
Yeah.
break. If we're working on shame, guilt normally goes away. Or if we're
Right.
working on anger, sadness normally goes away. So
Right.
they're so complex and intertwined. I don't need to necessarily see you for six times. If I can get you for six
Yeah.
times in, that's where it gets to be so beautiful, because I create this launching pad for your life. And that's where, the C-suite executives, they're wanting to come in for like 12 sessions, so I could just reframe and make these small tweaks to polish up to like really set them on a path to success.
Right. Oh, love that. Love that.
Thank
Now,
you.
how do clients keep the gains, like the scripts, the self-hypnosis, the journalings, or the check-ins?
Yeah, I mean, it's important just to be aware of those daily and be devoted to self. I journal every
Yeah.
day, and I see, what's going on, what's on top. We play with my family. We play this game called What's on Top every day. What's on
Yeah.
top? Okay, I'm feeling a little of what I'm feeling this way, or I'm feeling this way. Okay, cool. Let's work through that. So just being
Yeah.
really aware of how you're feeling and
Hmm.
why you're feeling what you're feeling is most important to keep those gains moving forward, because then you can go, oh, okay, no, that's a limiting belief. I don't need to hold on to that. I can release that. I'm not good
Yeah.
enough, or I can't do it. Yes, you can. And just
Hmm.
be really aware of the stories that they're telling themselves to
Yes.
to keep track of that, so they could keep moving forward in the direction of their goals.
And that's so important because people don't realize, but we go through different emotions every single day. And it's so important to keep on top of how we're feeling every day and to really approach those emotions and to learn how to heal them when we feel them. Because if we don't, they just build up. And they sometimes, depending on how you deal with emotions, some people will just repress and repress and repress. And then that's when problems occur. Or, if you're not dealing with the emotions, you're just in denial. And you know what? The problems still exist. Those emotions are still there. They're not going anywhere. And in order to really be your full potential and move forward in life, we really have to be aware of how our bodies feel and be aware of how we're, what emotions are going in our body and why we're feeling the way we do and really address them right away.
Absolutely. And I think the key point here is being aware of what we're feeling in our body. I think that's the Holy Trinity, right? Mind, body, and
Yeah.
spirit. And there, it goes back to self-love. I was working on my psychic abilities so much because I wanted outside of my body because it was too
Yeah.
dense to be here. And once I
Right.
started bringing myself back home and loving myself deeper, the feeling is the healing. Stay in my body and out of my head. And now I used to do, Stacey, I used to do this check like, okay, does this make sense in my mind? And then I bring it down to my gut. See, they lied to us. They told us our brains are in our head, and that's not the truth. Our brains are in our gut, right?
Yeah.
So I
Hmm.
used to go from my head down to my gut and then back up to my head. Now I just bring it. What do I feel?
Yes.
And then I don't even need to bring it up to my brain anymore. I'm like, okay,
Right.
that feels off. No, I'm not doing it. Or that is aligned. I am doing it. And I just bring it down to my gut. What's the feeling? And then I just go for that. And I don't have to, and I say this, but I don't have to check in with the itty bitty shitty committee, right? Because they always steer me wrong. I just check,
Exactly.
what does my gut say? Feel
Hmm.
it. And then I know because I'm very clairsentient, very claircognizant. And
Yeah.
once you start doing the research about the clairs, everybody has these psychic abilities. It's really
Yeah.
just shutting our mouth. And you and I are really good talkers. That's why meditation and prayer are really good for us to shut our mouth and
Yeah.
listen to our body. And
Hmm.
all the answers are here. You just need to get
Exactly.
quiet.
100%, 100%. Now, we had promised our listeners 5 concrete actions. What are your 5 for the next 7 days that you think people should take in order to be the best they could possibly be when it comes
Great.
to?
Yeah, well, actually, I have 6. I wrote a book called Successful Women Show Up Differently. And there's 6 transformational habits to help you win from the inside out. So
Love it.
I start with number 1, command your morning. Get in your
Mhm.
epic morning routine. You need to take control of the morning. You need to begin your life before life you. So that's number 1,
Yeah.
command your morning. Number 2, I say sit in the word. And I say sit in the word of God, right? And whatever God means to you, we pray in my house to Gus, God, universe, and spirit, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So sit in the word. I open my Bible, whatever Bibles you're reading. I used to be so pissed off at the Bible. And then I realized, oh, I'm not mad at the Bible. I'm mad at the people who tampered with it. So just
Yeah.
pick up the Bible and sit in the word,
Hmm.
sit in scripture. I read Proverbs.
Hmm.
Proverbs are the verbs of God. Those are the actions of God. And guess how many Proverbs there are?
How many?
31. So
Mhm.
today's the 14th. You read Proverbs 14 and you just go down.
Right.
And at the end of the month, you start over again. So I sit in the word every day. I do a radical mindset reset protocol. It's just really checking in with the loops that you're doing every day. What am I looping on? What am I nuggeting out on? What's the loop that I continue to tell myself? And then I speak life, not loops. I speak life. Like, what do I want to create? I don't want to stay in this loop of I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I can't do it. I speak
Hmm.
life into, okay, I know I can. My default is I've done it before, I can do it again. And
Right.
take radical, messy action
Yeah.
and then return to your vision.
I
So,
love that.
but you've got to get your vision into high resolution, high pixelized state. You got to
Yeah.
put in, you got to put, I got to tell you,
Yeah.
this is so good. My vision was I was praying to God. I'm like, Gus, help me out. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. And that was my vision. Okay.
Yeah.
So interesting. I went to Colombia and I flew into Colombia, to Bogota, Colombia. And I got
Hmm.
some pesos out of the ATM and went back to my hotel. And I'm just sitting in my hotel, having some Colombian coffee, just really just enjoying. And I looked down and because I wanted to inspect their currency.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looked down and I was sitting on 10 million pesos.
Oh my God.
So I called my husband in America and I said, oh, you know what? God is a funny man, even if he's a man. I don't even know at this point. I said, but my prayer and my vision was to become a millionaire. Silly
Right.
me, I just said millionaire. I didn't say millionaire in Federal Reserve notes from America. I just said millionaire, and I was sitting on 10 million pesos. So I was a millionaire
Wow.
at that moment. So when I say construct your vision and get your vision, you got
Yeah.
to go into the nitty gritty. You got to get
Mhm.
all the details in there. You can't just say, I want a new truck because it's going to show
Yeah,
you a Hot Wheel truck, right?
exactly.
Right, you got to get into the nitty gritty and bring that to high resolution. So those are my 6 transformational habits for the audience, and if you do that, whew, it creates a launching pad for your life. But
Yeah.
it's really being devoted and committed to self. That's where it
Yes.
comes back to. Can I do this for
So,
me? Can I
yes.
love myself enough to be committed to myself every day and then
Hmm.
just do that? It's so beautiful because I know I can. I know you can. I mean, we didn't get to the top by not being committed,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Every single day, I was committed, always committed. It was a passion, it was a love,
Mhm.
and you just have to manifest it and be serious about it. So many people want so many things, but are they committed? Are they going to put the effort in? Are they going to put the love in? And that's the difference. You take your purpose and you take your mission and you turn it into a reality. And it's so, anyone can do it, but you have to really want to do the work because everything takes hard work and time.
Yeah, and I empower my clients because I have a friend right now. She's suffering with sadness, and I just empower her. I said, "Well, when you're done suffering, you can come see me." And she goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, what? Like I get to choose to not suffer?" Yeah, it's as simple as making a decision to be more committed than you
Yes.
ever have before, and it's really that
100%.
simple. So
Yes,
simple.
it is. It definitely is. Now you've written 5 best-selling books. So tell us a little about those books.
Oh, thank you so much. So yeah, so the first one was Radical Freedom. It's my heart-wrenching story through the family court system here in America, and it's beautiful. It's a little nuggets, tips and tricks on how to move through forgiveness.
Yeah.
And then I wrote Radical Courage, the spiritual lady justice. I went to law school to become an attorney to find out about the anti-justice system. And then the next book I wrote was The Wisdom of the Trees. And this is a little lookbook where my husband and I spent 100 days of art and committed to art. He and I spent 3 hours a night for 100 days, the beginning of this year, 2025, to be committed. So I painted these trees and my reverence to the trees. We have property in Minnesota. And so
Hmm.
I was at a crossroads in the family court system. Either I go in because I had sued everybody who had touched this case, because hail has no fury like a woman scorned, right? You take
Yeah.
a mother's children and she's just going to unleash, right?
Yeah.
I had sued everybody in my county in regards to my family law case, and
Mhm.
if I continued to go in, they weren't going to give me my children. And then if I stopped going in, I wasn't going to get my children. So I was at a crossroads. Do I keep going
Yeah.
in or do I stay out? And so the wisdom of the trees, when I went to Minnesota that summer, I sat there in meditation and prayer, and silly me, I thought that I was going to get the answer pretty quickly,
Yeah.
but the trees were teaching me patience. So for
Hmm.
9 days, I sat in the wisdom of the trees. I'm like, do I go into court? Do I stay out? If I go in,
Yeah.
I'm the battery source and they're feeding off my loosh. I don't know if you know what that word is, LOOSH. It's that
Hmm.
dense negative energy. They're feeding off that. I'm the battery
Yeah.
source. I'm keeping this beast system alive by every paperwork that I file. So do
Yeah.
I continue to go in or do I just say, you know what? I'm going to stay out. And so
Right.
I was committed to these trees. And so at the end of 9 days, I decided to close all the accounting, close all the cases down and not go in. and realize that my children have a soul contract too, and that they get to decide how they want to live their life. And I did this little lookbook called The Wisdom of the Trees, and I painted 135 trees and then published it. So it's like an oracle read.
Yeah.
It up, pick your adventure, like go on in. And then next I did my Transcend, the Path to Limitless Expansion. And it's
Yeah.
my framework to transcend. It's a sacred calling back to self.
Right.
Basically a lead magnet to work with me on a deeper level. And then
Yes.
the last book was Successful Women Show Up Differently, 6
Right.
Transformational Habits to Help You Win from the Inside Out. This book, I didn't realize how quickly this was going to go viral. 17 hours, I hit international best-selling author,
Wow.
like 30 country. I mean, crazy. And if you just do this, and the book is stupid cheap, it's like $8. But if you
Mhm.
pick up this book and act like you invested $800 and do what I tell you to do,
Right.
it will transform your whole entire life. But see, people think, oh, it's just too cheap. That just can't possibly change my life. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm
Hmm.
just like, okay, it's great. It's just like whatever you believe, you're right. So
I
yeah,
love
so
it.
those are my 5 books. I'm in the process of writing another called the Good Quality Questions. Ask
Yeah.
yourself the good quality questions in
Hmm.
in the boardroom, in the courtroom, and in life.
Yep.
So I'm going to kick that one off, and you just go down and okay, ask yourself this, like, what does that mean to me? When he
Yeah.
does that, what does that say? What does that mean? And then just go on down through the loops so you can have more awareness of self. So yeah, thank you for asking. Those books are the wisdom of the trees, I think for me is the most special because it was this divine devotion to the trees, to my art,
Yeah.
and then publishing that book was so special.
Oh, sounds wonderful. It does
Thank
sound,
you.
the best books are written from the heart. Yeah, they truly are. They are.
Well,
Now,
I kicked off Transcend and Successful Women very quickly. And then I asked myself, why did I kick those 2 books off quickly after The Wisdom of the Trees? And what I was able to uncover was my heart. I gave birth to a baby on that Wisdom of the Trees. Like I kind of wanted to shadow it a little bit and keep it for
yeah.
myself, you know?
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I want to kick off these other 2 to kind of keep this one sacred. So
Yeah,
so funny how we behave, isn't it?
it is. It truly is. Now, what products and services do you provide?
Yeah, so I have tons of digital products. I have tangible products. I have my 5 books. I have some digital money magic hypnotherapy sessions that if you just did, it's like a 13-minute little hypno session before your feet hit the ground in the morning. You do that for 7 days. You'll rewire your money story. Money's
Wow.
just energy. You can get all the money. Money is the easiest thing that you can get.
Yeah.
It's just tuning into that and believing that. So
Right.
I have digital assets, I have physical assets. um, yeah, and then you can work with me one-on-one, come into office or via Zoom. I have a whole concierge service. I'm also a publisher, so I own Cain and Company Publishing. I have my legal business, my coaching business, my publishing business. Us overachievers, there ain't nothing we can't do. And so it's just great because I'm a creator God and God is within me. And I
Yeah.
just keep creating and finding my passions that align with myself and help humanity. So it's so beautiful.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Now, where can people find you?
Yes, so I on all platforms, I'm Tisha Marie Cain, Cain. It's biblical for a reason. So they can get me at www.tishamariecain.com. I'm on Tisha Marie Cain, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find me anywhere. And what's great about on my webpage, you could go there and go to appointments and you can book and pay and you're in. So you have full access to my calendar, what day works for you. And if you don't find a day works for you, you could just simply message me and I'll open up my calendar for, special clients that are top VIP. So, yeah, So it's so great. So great.
This has been amazing. I thank you so much for coming on this show. This episode has been wonderful. You are an amazing individual. All the accomplishments that you've achieved and everything that you've done and overcame in life. I got to tell you, you just you amaze me. You have so much resilience. You have so much strength. You never gave up. You kept on going. And you made your dreams become a reality, and you helped so many people along the way. So kudos to you. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your message and all your wisdom. And we didn't even, barely touch the whole barrel. We just, we did a light briefing today. There is so much more about you that is truly amazing. And I just, hope that we can talk some more one day and come back on the show and we learn a little bit more about some of the other things in your life that have made such an impact in this world. So thank you so much, Trisha. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Stacey. I appreciate you so much.
Uh,
Blessings.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.